All right, man. So how has quarantine been? The world's going crazy right now. But how have you been holding up?
Honestly, I can't really mention no names, but I had a low key training facility where I kind of worked out by myself, and I kind of found like a new motivation to get back into working out and just training. I fought for years now, but I really haven't like really prepped myself like I haven't like when I was an amateur. I wasn't as hungry. I felt like it was like just a job. And when that happens, it kind of sucks. But uh, the quarantine was kind of good for me. I really I got back into working out every day, training, and now the goal is I'm a heavyweight, but the goal is to slowly work my way back to 205. So
Yeah, I think that's a good time to do it. There's a lot of time for cardio, a lot of time to run. So I think that there wasn't a whole lot else to do. You couldn't spar or anything like that. I don't know where you were. Like you mentioned, you had this own facility. So this secret facility may have something I don't know about. But for the most part, a lot of us were just doing runs and stuff like that. So I'd like to just kind of start talking about your matchup that kind of fell through. It was supposed to happen only a few weeks ago. So what's it like getting ready for a fight only to have it fall through?
honestly, I think I would have won. Just because like and it's weird because this isn't like a big advertised fight, but for everyone here locally, it was gonna be a big fight just because a lot of people know me and him. He's a loudmouth. He has no filter. I'm kind of the guy that uh, sign the babies, like stuff like that. So it was one of those heel versus face types of fight, and I truly don't like the guy. So uh, I don't even want to mention his name honestly because he ain't even worth it. But Jeremiah Harper, he lives about 30 minutes up the road. So as far as like this scene goes, this was a big fight for the region. Everybody wanted to see me shut him up, and it got postponed. So now they're trying to find me an opponent for August 15th, and then hopefully get that fight squared away for October. But they told me, I could wait till October, but I ain't trying to wait. I got a bunch of goals. I'm trying to fight. I'm I'm trying to beat someone up. So I told him, look, it's a fight I want, but don't keep me on the shelf like I'm trying to fight. Like I'm trying to fight.
So is there a name that's going around, or is it just man, just give me a fight, whoever it is, I don't care.
I just told him like find me a fight, man. Like they said that a lot of people are they've asked a lot of people, and just with quarantine and stuff, a lot of people ain't been training, and they're like, man, he's 5-2 pro, and his two losses are Boone Gordon and Keith Bell. Hell no. So I mean that's good. That's a confidence booster for me, but uh, I'm just trying to fight. Just trying to fight before the October fight, and then there's another big name that we're talking about, but I'm gonna keep that a secret because when it gets released, it's gonna be big. It's gonna
As
be a
a
big fight.
as a fighter, what kind of goes into whether or not you take a fight or not? Like obviously the world's at a standstill. There's a pandemic. You don't know if you're going to get COVID. Everyone's worried. A lot of fighters are worried about taking fights. As someone who's fighting and someone who's actually in the octagon, what sorts of pros and cons are you balancing before you make that decision?
Has to make sense. Has to make sense. Like my last fight, for example, I was 5-1. Uh, Keith Bell, he's been around the block. He's fought everybody. So I said that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. I need to fight this guy because if I win, then I got more people looking at me. I'm gonna be a bigger star, and now that I've lost, now it's like okay, so I probably don't need to be going for the Keith Bales right now. I just got knocked out first round, TKO, but I don't remember since he hit me. I just remember circling, and then I was sitting there with the ref, and the ref had my hand. And I was like, well, shit, like I had to have lost because I don't remember nothing. Like, so as far as that goes, like, Keith Bell, I fought him. Things didn't work out. So now take a step back, get back in my lane, and find out what I need to work on, and get back into the fire. Fight a couple fights on the region, the local scene again, like the regional scene, I guess I should say, and then jump right back into the fire, man. Like find a fight that on UFC Fight Pass or overseas or something, and then get back into the mix.
So it's funny because I interview a lot of fighters, and especially when they're coming off a loss, they're like, "Oh, it was a bad shot or a lucky shot." How do you stay like positive, even though with the loss, obviously he was a veteran, he's very, very experienced, but how do you stay positive and not find excuses in the loss?
It is what it is, man. That's the name of the game, And Keith is awesome. Keith is a super good dude, and he messages me on the regular and just talks super high on me. And he even says, he's like, man, that's a big win for me. And I'm like, man, you've had 20 fights. Like, what do you mean I'm a big win for you? And he's like, nah. He's like, you're the next big thing. And stuff like that really motivates me, And, against Boone Gordon, I was that guy. I did, I ain't going to say that I said, oh, it was a lucky shot and stuff like that. But that fight, I can look at and say, I know why I lost. I was not ready for that fight. I didn't train. LFA called me up, yo, you want me to take this fight? It'll be on national TV. My eyes got this big, and I took it. I took the fight, and I was like, okay, well, if I win, this could open some doors. I didn't think I could, and at the time I was undefeated, amateur pro. I thought that no one could hold a torch to me, and I got in there. I tried to take him down. He sprawled. I had to fight that, and then I just felt my lungs. I've never felt like that in a fight. A lot of times when I'm fighting, it's like I keep the pressure, and it might not work the first couple times, but eventually, like when I get on that ass, it's game on, So, that one I was not, happy about. So I guess that's what I'm trying to say is I get why fighters do sometimes. I've never heard the lucky shot thing. Yeah, I've never looked at that like, okay, that's a good reason why you lost. Like, no, dude, you got hit, you got dropped, name of the game. But my first loss definitely was just out of shape. I should have prepared better for it, and that's why I lost. And with Keith Bell, man, he just hit me with the rope-a-dope, man, and I sent me in a dream street. That's a scary feeling, man. You know how it feels to be moving, feeling good. And then the next thing you know, you're like, man, I feel like I just teleported. Like, this ain't good. Like, this sucks. So yeah, that was not that. I mean, I stay positive, but boy, it was a weird feeling. Okay, but yeah, I mean, and he's a good person. He's a good person.
So now you're 5-2 as a pro, but a lot of people don't even know you have an undefeated amateur record. You were very successful as an amateur. What took you so long to make the jump to pro? And do you think that, a lot of fighters should do that, extend their amateur career before making that leap?
I always told myself when you put business in the aspect of it, you know what I'm saying? When you start to make money, and then when you go pro, you can't ever go back. So I told myself when I was 18 years old, I took my first fight. Then I went to college and wrestled. I had some family things come up. My grandma, she had cancer while I was through high school. I came back during Christmas, and I could just tell. I was like, yo, this ain't good. This is not good. So 2013, that Christmas, I ended up staying. In 2014, I ended up fighting again. I want to say it was around May, maybe April. It was April. I fought again, my second fight. And then from there, man, it was just people don't understand. In 2 years, I took 11 fights. I mean, I know some people are crazy, take like 30 fights in a year, but I took 11 fights in 2 years. I turned 21. I fought Matt Foley out of Lexington, Kentucky. He was supposed to kill me. All these articles and stuff was not pointed toward me winning, and I was just like, screw it. Like, that's what I want. I want to fight someone good. Let's go. I fought that fight. I beat him. There were some 10-8 rounds. And I was like, yo, if he's supposed to be good, like I'm ready for that next level. So that's when I made the change. So I really didn't stay on the amateur scene long because I can't really count me being 18 fighting because I took one fight and went to college. But as far in 2 years, 19 to 21, I just fought, man. And then I made my pro debut when I was 21, the August of 2016, I want to say. So been pro ever since. And I'm kind of disappointed in that because now, I was putting out so much output, staying in good shape, and, with injuries and just motivation. I've only fought 7 times in 4 years. That's not good. That's not good at all. And I really want to pick it back up. So I talked to this promotion locally, and we're talking about me fighting back to back to back. and hopefully getting a call. And I just want to stay active. I want to fight. You know, my fans deserve it. My family deserves it. I have a little girl now that's a year and a half. She deserves it. So it's all about making it happen.
The good thing about being a heavyweight, I guess, is realistically 5-2 is an unbelievable record for a heavyweight. You see guys in the UFC who are 3-1 or as heavyweights, Justin Tafa, for example. So you realistically could be two or three fights away from a shot at the Contender Series or the UFC. Is that the ultimate dream there, to make the UFC or to make a Bellator?
Absolutely. I actually got a call one time to fight for Bellator up in Connecticut, and it was a huge opportunity. It was against Tyrell Fortune, and I was all about it because I know how good his wrestling was, and I said, you know, that doesn't matter to me. I just want to fight someone tough. This is on TV, like time to get it. So I'm like, okay, give me a date. Tell me what y'all need me to do. And the date that they gave me was the same day of the state tournament for wrestling. And I'm a head wrestling coach at Eastside High School. So when they said that, I was like, man, I can't go. Like, I can't fight. I wasn't even a thought. I didn't even have to think about it because I substitute teach, I coach football, coach wrestling. And if it wasn't for my coaches growing up, I don't know where I would be. So when they asked us, I said, can't do it. And it's like, what? And I was like, yeah, it's state wrestling tournament, man. Like, my kids are going to state, got to go. And they were like, you know, this is like a crazy opportunity. And I'm like, well, what's a better opportunity to have an impact on a kid's life, knowing he's going to be the future, or for me to fight Tower of Fortune? Like, come on. Like, it's a good opportunity, but let's reschedule this shit later on, and we'll talk about it. So people call me crazy all the time. Like, man, forget them kids. They don't understand. It's like, it ain't about understanding. It's about, you know, doing the right thing. And I think I made the right choice, and I just stuck by it.
As someone who's had swimming coaches and whatnot, I think a lot of people would say that's a very respectable thing to put students first ahead of your career, and I think that says a lot about you, and I think you deserve a big shot just for that alone. So what's the message for your kids, for example? I mean, I'm sure a lot of parents, for example, would say, don't put your kids in martial arts. It's vicious. It's dangerous. You know, they get cauliflower ear. They get CTE. Why? What's the message for your wrestlers, and what's the message for your kid if they eventually want to take the MMA route?
You know, there's a lot of people that are well known, and you could even say kind of famous. Not wealthy, but famous, just really super duper known, that people look at and they're like, man, he's an asshole. And I just don't want to be that guy. I want people to look at me and be able to judge me off my character and be like, man, he was a great fighter and an even better person. And that's really what I aim to do, man. I just want them to know that, you know, one day I'm gonna swing my last punch, that I'm not going to be able to fight no more. And it's, what have you done to help your community, or what have you done to really move life forward, especially in the time we're living in now. It's like, you know, what kind of message are you sending? You know, if it ain't a positive message, you're part of the problem. So that's really how I look at things. And I just try to be the best person I can be.
What I like most about your fighting style is it's kill or be killed, which is very entertaining for fans. You've got 5 wins, all of them stoppages. You've got 2 losses, both of them stoppages. Why do you fight that way? Is it just who you are? Is it the way your coaches tell you to do it? Or is it what you're most successful at? Or is it just instinct?
And I'd like to think I'm a good person, but when that cage door shuts, there's like a switch that gets flipped. A lot of people just don't know my background. And I grew up in a really rough neighborhood in Virginia. It's in the country, but when I tell you the rough neighborhood, it's definitely poverty. And I've seen a lot of things as a kid. And you had to be tough. You know what I'm saying? Like, before I was 12-0 as an amateur and 5-2 as a pro, I was probably 20-400 on this, like, as a kid. Like, I got beat up a lot, and it just taught me, like, yo, you got to be tough. You got to definitely fight. You know, sometimes you might beat that person up, and when y'all stand up, he's wanting to fight again. So it's like, I don't know. It's just a lot of just past stuff, man, just comes back to life when I'm in there. And I try to be the best person I can be, like I said. But when you sign that contract, instantly I start training. Instantly, it's like, okay, you're on that hit list because you're trying to take food off my kid's table. That's how I've just always looked at it, and that's how I always went about things. So, just a wild man's mentality.
I think that's the mentality you have to have when you go inside the cage. If you go in with any other mentality, it's going to be a pretty short night for you, I think.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I just live off of like all my stuff is Team Co, Team Co, Team Co, Team Co. And I just tell people it's like the Team Co way is different. Like it's more than just a brand. It's like a mentality. When you wake up, it's like your first thought should be, what can I do today to be different? What can I do today to be different? And I even got it tattooed on me. Like it's a grenade, and it has like an American flag through it, and it has Team Co on it. And basically, it's like especially like, and not just in today's time, but over time, like the world is a grenade. Like the life we live is a grenade, and it's like doesn't matter. Put your stamp on it. So that's kind of how I like to live my life.
One thing I've been asking fighters who are at smaller camps is you see a lot of fighters make a move to an AKA or an Extreme Couture, for example, especially in the upper weight classes. I mean, I can see you like even going down to Jackson Wink and working with a guy like John Jones, or AKA working with a guy like Kane or DC. Has that move ever crossed your mind, or because of the family you have and the roots you have with your wrestling team, is that where you want to be, or have you considered a move to a bigger team, or at least a training camp there?
Man, it's crazy because the people that I started with since I was a kid, like they've always looked out for me. And then like there for a little bit, I was traveling to here and there, American Killer Bees. I went out to Team Oyama out in California, trained with them, and I kind of forgot like who was always there for me. And we had a falling out there for a couple months, and I was just, like when you're back home, who are you gonna train with, and I had a lot of time to think. I hadn't trained from November all the way till, MMA. I've worked out. I've started getting back in shape, but MMA up until 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I just had to take a break, and now that new motivation, it's like, okay, go back to what you know. Go back to the people that love you. Go back to the people that want to see you do good. And no doubt about it. Like if I'd have went out to California and went to Team Oyama, like I know Colin Oyama would have looked out for me. He's awesome and he knows his stuff. He's probably the most like as far as like up here knowing his stuff, he's that guy. And I knew that it took up he'd definitely guided me in the right direction and made so many good friends, but it just isn't home, and those guys have been looking out for me since I was 18 years old, since I was a kid, like the crazy kid. And now I feel like I've matured. I work a full-time job. Like before I wasn't even working, I would starve just so I could train full-time. Now I got a full-time job, got a kid, and it's like I still find time to train. So that's kind of where I decided, like, okay, let me get back to my team. Let me get back to my roots, and let's from here, let's take over. Like, no more wondering if I want to do it. Now is the time I got to do it. I'm 25 years old. Before it was, I'm 21. I got all kinds of time. I'm 22. I got all kinds of time. Now I'm 25. I'm like, holy cow, I'm halfway to 30. Like, I have to get this started. I have to. So now it's either now or never.
Someone's upbringing that your story kind of reminds me a lot of with the street fights and everything. Like you said, doing everything you can to train, even if it meant starving, is a guy named Jorge Masvidal. He's, I think every fighter all over the world respects him for everything he's done for the sport. He's finally getting his shot at a big title this weekend. What's your prediction for that fight?
In 2 days, Jorge Masvidal is going to be the BMF champ and the welterweight champ. I love watching him. That's one dude I really like. I know it's as easy as going to ATT, but I don't want to just go to ATT and see him. I would legitimately like to sit down and talk to him about just everything, because his upbringing. I actually met Kimbo back in 2014, and like he was a little off the wall, a little crazy, but it was enjoyable to talk to, and I think that Jorge would be kind of the same, except the only difference is Jorge's roots are street fighting, but he's about to fight for a world championship. Kimbo kind of was just a street fighter, And even though like I respect him, I think he's awesome. It's like he's not Jorge, and Jorge is the man, like the man. So I can't wait to see him fight this weekend and bring home a championship.
Another fight. I know it's a little ways away, but it's in your division. Daniel Cormier, Stipe Miocic 3. I usually hate rematches, but for some reason, I don't care if both these men retire afterwards. I want to see it. What's your prediction for that one?
DC. I think DC in the first fight, he kind of just walked forward, caught him, dropped him. In the second fight, I thought he was winning when he was wrestling because, Stipe was just kind of trying to be an athlete. But if Daniel Cormier is doing what I think he's doing, and it's truly, he said, I hope you put your wrestling shoes on. Two things are happening. One, he's either trying to get him to focus mainly on wrestling, so when he gets in there, wrestle, pow, 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 wrestle, pow, pow, pow. Or he really is going to go in there and wrestle. and if he does, like, that's not going to be a good day because it's been a while since we've seen a strictly just straight wrestling Daniel Cormier. Back when he fought Bigfoot Silva, like that, those were the days he was strictly wrestling when he was fighting for Strikeforce. So I'm excited to see that. And as far as both of them retiring, I would love to see it. I would love for both of them to fight, go out on their shit, which is not going to happen. If Stipe loses, he is fighting again. But I think Daniel Cormier is done after this. If they both win out, with an awesome fight, I'd kind of like it because I think there's a lot of heavyweights that potentially can be champions. They just can't get past those two, And by the time that they get to that level, they're going to be out anyways. So just a lot of formulas and stuff to play with. But I do 100% think that the next champion will be Francis Ngannou or Daniel Cormier. I hope Daniel Cormier wins. I'm talking about after this generation, when Francis Ngannou steps up, he is dangerous.
He is the scariest human being I have ever seen in my life. His uppercut.
It's crazy to think that he has probably the meanest hands as far as like when they touch you, you die. but he has the most boringest fight on record.
Yeah, with Derek Lewis.
I was watching that and I was like, oh my God, someone stop. And then right after that, DC knocked out Stipe. It was on the same card. And then Brock Lesnar, this heavyweight division fucking sucks. Miocic sucks. Ngannou sucks. I was like, holy cow. I wish he'd have came back, but I don't think he could pass a drug test. I think he's definitely on steroids.
100%.
100%. You don't look like the Smoky Mountains and B40 plus. So, but he missed a lot of good years.
Yeah, it's a shame what happened with his back because I really do think he could still be kicking it too. I think he's got, I don't know how he'd do against a guy like Francis Ngannou, but I mean, DC's wrestling would be nullified against, a guy twice his size. When they were in the octagon and Brock Lesnar shoved him, he looked like a flyweight.
Right, and I don't even know how he would do against Stipe. I think Stipe would be able to keep him off and he might. I thought the same thing about Mark Hunt, and he wrestled him. I mean, so I don't know. There's a lot of variables there with heavyweight, but I'll tell you, if Jorge wins, there's going to be a cluster at that 170 division. If Usman wins, then Jorge kind of steps down. May fight Nate Diaz too, and then you have Burns come back, who is awesome, and then that fight happens. But you never know. You never know what's going to happen. That's the beauty of the fight game.
Yeah, it's the beauty of it. It's also this could ruin if Jorge wins. I think it's going to be a real issue, like you said, because he's not going to fight. He's going to fight who he wants, and he's going to be like, Connor, give me Connor and Nate. And it's like, what do you do? Like, do you strip him?
I think you have to make that fight. I think realistically, what I don't care what anyone says, it's a business. This is just like WWE except you really don't know the outcome. You really, But as far as like what's the fans want, you have to be entertaining. That's part of your job. And everybody's like, that's dumb, like blah blah blah. Well, if you're that good, eventually you're gonna get. If you're knocking everybody out and beating everybody, eventually your time's gonna come. And I tell you, a fighter that is so low key right now, but I just seen today that he signed a contract, who potentially will be a future world champion. No, he's a little older, but do you remember when I went out to Vegas? I went out to the Ultimate Fighter tryouts. And, I was pumped. I 100% thought I was going to go on there and do my thing. But I looked at this guy who grappled a guy named Daniel James. I don't know if you know Daniel. But
I know who you're talking about, though. Juan, right?
Yes.
My boy, Spanish, fellow Spaniard.
Right. He grappled Daniel James at the tryouts. And just to see how he was moving, I was like, oh, my God. That's another guy that should have been on the show, Daniel James. He's tough. But I watched the way that they were wrestling or just doing that thing, and I was like, oh, my God, this is crazy. And then I watched him hit the pads, and I was like, oh, my God, this dude is hitting so hard. Well, see, at the time, you couldn't be over 34, I think, but he was 37. And I was in the stairway, and I was like, man, I wish this would hurry. And he looks at me and goes, listen, embrace it. Embrace this, because you never get to live through moments like this again. And I was like, oh, my God. Okay. So I get up. I start bouncing around. I'm like, dude, I'm getting warmed up for an interview. That's all I was doing. So, and I told once I didn't get picked, because I made it through the first round of interviews, and then they cut it, and there was like 20 people left, and they just didn't pick me. And I was like, man, that sucks. But he was the guy after everybody got picked. I said, he is the next Ultimate Fighting Champion winner. Like, he is the next big thing. I think he's like 37, but he has he is from Spain. I know. I talked to him, but he said that what he used to do. He used to do another sport, and it was way bigger. What do you know? What the sport they do over in Spain? That's like they it's something. It's something crazy, but it's nuts. It's nuts. He's the next big thing. If he signed a contract, I'd put my money again, because he knocked out Maurice Green. Is what? He's 8th, maybe not.
He just dropped out of the rankings because he lost to Alexei Oleinik, but he just picked up a huge win over Jean Vellante. Maurice Green looked super successful, and Juan dominated him.
Smashed him. Smashed. I remember he was talking all that crap on the show, and that's really Maurice Green's personality, dude. I think he's a little bipolar, because I have him on Facebook and stuff, and like 1 minute he's like talking crazy, next minute he's like, I love my kids, I love my wife, I would just moved. And I'm like, dude, you're a trip, man. Like, you're wild. But I like him. He was cool at the tryouts. He was crocheting everybody like beanies. He didn't crochet me one like an asshole, but no, he was cool. He was really cool. But yeah, Juan, he murked him, and he also murked my good friend Justin Frazier. And Justin is a monster. He was by far the second best guy there. Like, Justin's a stud. I don't know why he ain't got a call to go fight some guys. Because I watched.
He's on the Contender Series now, I think.
Is he? I missed that, but I'm gonna go ahead and tell you, I watched him at the tryouts, and he's a stud. Like, he should be in the UFC, 100%. Like, the longer they wait, the longer he's not making that type of money to feed his family, which kind of makes me mad.
As for you, I'll loop it back around to you. How many fights do you think you are away from maybe a call to the UFC? What do you have to do to get that call to either Contender Series, the Ultimate Fighter, or the UFC?
I think I fight some local fights and fight the tough cats around here. I mean, who says I don't like to say a win on, win or lose, hopefully if God's will, I'll win some fights and then pick up another big fight against which this name I'm not saying, he is a big, I mean, if I beat him, people are going to be like, what the world? So that's my goal, is just fight a couple more fights that, take a step back from Keith Bell, fight those fights, and then take another leap forward. I think my mindset now is it's going to be good. I think that I'm in the right mindset to where the hammer's back. I'm tired of being in the nail, which I know 5-2, I've lost to 2 studs, but to me, that's a big deal, man. Losing's everything. I stay positive, and I'm not going to make excuses, but at the end of the day, like where I'm from, people don't make it. So I got to make it. I got to make it for every kid that looks up to me and says, hey, Chandler, you're doing such a good job. We love you. We're a big fan. It's like, okay, well, now it's time to take those words and put it all in motion because I can't let my community down. That's one of my biggest fears. I know I shouldn't even think like that, but I got too many people riding for me.
It sounds like you've got a lot of support, man. You seem like a really nice guy. I know we just met today, man, but I'm rooting for you. Hopefully you get 2-3 wins and you're knocking right there at the UFC. I wish you all the best, man. Stay safe. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. All the best, man.
Hey, time to go train now.
Got you motivated.
Yep. See you, brother.
All right, man. All the best.